back to another episode of Bacon and Bezels. Today we're going to do a little bit different of a video. Today we're going to look at the top 5 movie watches of all time. And I'm a huge movie guy. I love movies. And I'm always looking at watches in movies, much to the chagrin of my wife sometimes, because I'll pause it, and I'm sure most watch guys are like this. We'll be watching a movie and I'll just pause it and I'll be staring at it and I'll be zooming in, and my wife will just be over there rolling her eyes. But I'm checking out the watch, and there's so many great watches in movies throughout history. But I wanted to do a list, and there's tons of these lists on YouTube of top movie watches. But I wanted to do one where I love the movie and I love the watch. There's tons of watches in movies that I like, but I don't necessarily love the movie. This list, I love all these movies, and I'm going to go through how the watch fits into that. So I love all these movies, love all these watches. The first one here, I have these written down so I can remember them. The first one is the Cartier Santos from the movie Wall Street. And in this movie, Michael Douglas wears this gold, it's an 18 karat gold Cartier Santos. And it fits his character. It fits the vibe of the 80s and of ultimate capitalism there on Wall Street and just excess. This watch just solidifies that he has made it. And his partner in the movie, if you've ever seen it, was Charlie Sheen. At the beginning of the movie, he kind of has like a normal, cheap 80s watch. But as he progresses through the movie and gains more money, with working with Michael Douglas, with Gordon Gekko, he eventually gets the same gold Cartier Santos. I've always thought that was a cool touch in the movie. So it's just a symbol of that prosperity, and that Cartier is just beautiful. And the other cool thing about that watch in that movie is that there's so much dated technology in the movie. There's old giant computers. He has like a huge cell phone in the movie, one of those giant boxy cell phones. But the watch in this movie, the Cartier Santos, has stood the test of time, and it's more popular today than it has ever been. And that's just the power of watches. And every time I watch that movie, I'm like, that's what makes that watch so cool. All the dated things about that movie, but that watch has still lived on. It's fantastic. The next movie we're going to look at is the movie Scrooge, one of my favorite Christmas movies. And the watch in this movie is on Bill Murray's wrist, and it is the Audemars Piguet Perpetual Calendar. And they do a great zoom in of this watch when he's at lunch with the executives of the play that they're doing. And this watch is all these watches in this list as well would be ones that I would put in my collection. I would love that Cartier. I would love this perpetual calendar. I've loved perpetual calendars for as long as I can remember. They just do so much. You can see the day, the week. It's like that Zeppelin that I got. It's just a beautiful watch. And it also kind of the same as Wall Street. It's just very 80s and very in that time. It's gold as well. It just shows the wealth and success that he had as a TV executive. The third watch is the Doctor Strange watch. And this is a little more recent one. It's going to be the newest movie on my list, but I love Doctor Strange. I like Marvel movies, but that movie is just my favorite. I think it's the best one they ever made. And I might be a little biased because, yes, he does open a giant chest of beautiful watches that he has in his collection when he's still a doctor. And one of the watches that he has in there is the Jaeger-LeCoultre or Jaeger-LeCoultre, however you want to say it, the JLC Perpetual Ultra Thin watch. Beautiful watch, just like the one before in Scrooge. It tells you everything, but this one even tells you the year. So it's just an amazing movement. And it has a huge part in the story. In the movie, his girlfriend gives him this watch. You see in Doctor Strange 2, they actually have a scene of her gifting him this watch, which in the theater I was just freaking out. And I don't think anybody in the theater cared about that scene except for me. And I was hollering and shouting, and I'm sure people looked at me like I was a freak, but that was a great scene. She gave him that watch. And in the movie, in the first one, that watch breaks. And then at the very end of Doctor Strange 2, he puts a new glass front on it, and he puts it in the case. And it was just a great moment of him, you know, loving that watch, repairing it from the beginning of his journey to the end. It was just a great completion. And I just love that the watch is that much of an integral part of that movie. Number 4 is going to be the Rolex GMT, and this is going to be in The Life Aquatic of Steve Zissou, another one of my favorite movies. It's hilarious. I just love Wes Anderson's adventure movies. And this watch has a great part in the movie because Owen Wilson. I always get those two names mixed up. They're in so many movies together. Owen Wilson's watch in the movie, and he is a pilot. And that watch is a GMT, so it gives you 2 time zones. So it is a perfect pilot's watch, and it was actually made by Rolex for pilots back in the day for Pan Am Airlines. And so just the history of that and just knowing that he's a pilot in the movie, I just thought that was a really cool touch. But it's also, you know, much of the movie is around water, and it's also can go underwater. I think it's 100 meters or something like that. But that's just really cool. You see him diving in that watch. The fact that that watch can be, you know, up in the sky, you know, acting as a pilot's watch, and then it can be down in the ocean in this movie is so cool. His death scene just kills me every time. But you can see his Rolex just bobbing in the water when he's laying there. And just that watch is just so cool throughout the entire movie. Number 5 is going to be one of my favorite movies ever. Might be my favorite movie. It is the romantic movie Somewhere in Time. And in this movie, it is a Hamilton pocket watch. And I've always been fascinated with pocket watches. I currently only have a couple in my collection. I want to get more someday, especially right now, because you can get them for pretty attainable prices. But this Hamilton pocket watch plays a huge role in this movie. It's even on the poster of this movie. And at the very beginning of the movie, she gives it to him. She gives it to Christopher Reeves to kind of symbolize, you know, she says, "Come back to me." And the whole movie, I mean, it's called Somewhere in Time. It's about time. And she gives him that watch to tell him to come back to her. And they find each other in the end. She has the watch at the beginning. He has the watch at the end of the movie. It's just a beautiful kind of story of the watch through the movie. And those are my top 5 movie watches. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe. And as always, cherish the time.